We did quilt of the week. Turbo tip, yes.
You really need notes on she's crossing them off like this. Okay, now it's done.
Because we're all over the map.
Oh, okay. Danny's yelling at me already.
Because there was like things that I almost would have forgotten in shop news because of the rant on.
You're doing good. Yeah. Don't you listen to
Okay, don't listen to me. Don't listen to me.
Of course I listen to Becky.
Excuse me, move your big knee. All right. You know, I'm still working on half square triangles. Cannot get away from half square triangles. Huh. And in all honesty, it's probably one of the most used items in a quilt because they really are cool and they do cool things.
And they're easy to make too.
I still have my favorite method, which we already talked about, triangulations.
I prefer the easy angle for all you lazy quilters out there.
So now this is going to be crazy, but I saw many years ago on Missouri Star where she was making a quilt with nothing but half square triangles, and she took a charm pack, which is what, a 5-inch square. Okay, so she showed how to make them with a 5-inch square, and whatever size that was the size that you were using for the whole quilt. Now, in my hunting and pecking, I said, hey, this is a way to make 4 of the same half square triangles, like this, see how they're all the same?
Yeah.
Okay, with a square. Now,
and you're going to tell me you did the math to figure out the size squares?
I'm going to tell you how I figured it out.
Okay.
There is math, but it was like 7.07. I wanted 4-inch finished squares. These are 4 inches.
4 inches
So
finished.
what you're going to do,
So those 4 inch.
I'm going to explain how the math works.
4
in a
inch
minute.
finished squares or
Yeah.
3.5 inch?
No, these are 4 inches right here.
So
This is 4 inches. I'm
So that's
sorry.
a 4-inch square.
Yeah, it's
4 inch
4
rough.
Rough.
3.5 inch finish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Ooh, let the dogs out.
So here's 2 pieces of fabric that they're both the same size.
I'm gonna go a little higher up over here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Look, we can do like hand things.
Okay, 2 pieces of fabric. I have cut them right now. They're 7 inches square, and I'll explain how I came up with that in a minute because I want to show you how I came up with it.
Okay.
It's easier to show you. Now, what I like to do, see this little glue, I'm just going to dab it in the corners here for you, Brent. This does not get heat set. That's Solines glue. I'm sure
Yeah.
everybody's seen that.
Right.
What it's going to allow us to do.
I actually think I have that on the shelf.
Yes,
so.
well, I like it for this a lot. I like it for other things too. In fact, we use this in our paper piecing class.
Okay.
That just helps us not have to pin and it doesn't move around. And I don't.
I have
the
an
heat
allergy to
seat it.
pins, so I can appreciate that.
See this? What I want you to do is sew a 1/4 inch all the way around. Now you can pivot if you want, or you can just go straight down, turn, straight down, turn. I don't care if you pivot or you don't pivot.
Well, since I'm on a Luminaire, and I'll turn the pivot on.
Do you know there's a pivot mark on the foot too? So if you don't have a Luminaire, the 1/4 inch foot has a mark that shows you when you're 1/4
Did
inch
you want to
away
be on this
from
one, Eddie? Because I think that one should be set up.
So you're going to just zip around that lickety split. So you can see how this is going to make 4, just like this, when you're done. So if you don't need zillions of them, you need 4.
Well, what's also nice if you do 4, you can do things like pinwheels and other things.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't press these all open because I wanted to show you.
But I have a question.
Go for it, girl.
If you do it this way, then aren't you going to have to sew in the bias?
Yes, that is the minus of this. Maybe it's a minus.
Okay, well, sometimes it depends on the pattern, right?
Right.
Want to
Well,
switch cameras, Eddie?
to be honest with you, because I
Thank you.
know I'm going to have bias, I prepped my material. So
But don't you always prep your material anyway?
Yeah.
I mean, you're using you're throwing the bias as an excuse, but we know you would have done it anyway.
So these are beautiful
Yeah.
anyway. It's not really an issue because I prepped it.
Okay.
But sometimes you want to be on the bias depending on the pattern. Like if you're doing stripes and you're trying to line up this stripe to a block stripe and you want them to all go in the same direction, you got to go on the bias. So it's not like you should say bias. No bias. Don't feel that way.
And just as a kind of a thing, though, you talk about using stripes. There's a lot of people that don't like stripes. In fact, we don't order a lot of stripes.
I'm telling you, you need to order more stripes.
But
They are fun.
Stripes are interesting, but the problem is from a sales standpoint, a lot of people don't like stripes.
Because they don't know how to work with them.
I'm just saying.
Well, you need to teach.
We'll get some stripes, okay.
Okay, so now I'm slicing from corner to corner. Oops. I'm slicing from corner to corner, Brent, okay? Now, I should have brought my rotating cutting mat, because what you want to do is not move them. And I moved them a little bit. That's okay, because they're oversized. Now, let's say you are making your own design. You don't care what size they are. As long as you use the same size rectangle, square, over and over again, all your triangles are going to be the same size. So if you're like, oh, I don't care if they're exactly 4 or 3, whatever, just be consistent with these squares, and all your half square triangles will be the same size, which means you don't have to fussy cut them down. Right?
And if you do happen to move them and you don't go corner to corner, there is a 45-degree mark on most rulers that you can.
There is, but I'm just eyeballing it because it's not going to
Oh,
matter.
I'm just saying, if they get moved, you can do
Well, I'm
45.
going to show you how I came up with the size of the square using a 45.
Uh-oh, he's got COVID, we're all gonna die.
We got 4
I
rectangles.
probably gave it to
Did you
him.
see this?
We're fine.
Do you see this?
We have to put like a plague flag on the door of the store.
I see it, Becky, I see it.
It's
Do you
gorgeous.
see this? I'm not kidding. Even Brent made it.
Gorgeous.
Look at Brent. Now these are all
made that!
these are all the same size. So if you were making your own quilt and this is the size you wanted, you're done. So
Even with my awful
look at
quarter-inch seam.
I'm telling you, perfection.
Wow.
Look at that. Look at that. Brent Ferlin made these.
But are you gonna trim them down now?
If I wanted them to be 4 inches, I would then trim them down because of the math involved.
But if you were lazy like me, I'd just
If
go with
you're
it.
making your own little thing, who cares? You just do it however you want to do it. Now I'm going to show you quickly if you are picky about your size of your triangles, because of course I am, because I'm making
Aren't we all?
I'm making a certain pattern. But if you're just playing around and making your own thing, look at how fast and easy that is. It's wonderful. And truthfully, you could put these together like if you were making like one of these things here. And later you wanted to cut it down, you could cut it down too. But when you sew them together, they're all the same size.
They look great.
They're perfect. I mean, look at this. And you can play. Oh my gosh. It's perfect. I can't get over it. I really can't.
I think it's fantastic.
Okay, but let's say, how did I come up with 7 inches square? Think about how we cut that, okay? I told you I wanted 4 inches when I was
Yes.
done. This is 4 inches,
Yeah.
and this is 4 inches, because when I open it up,
Yeah.
it's on, right? This is 4 and this is 4.
Yeah.
And I want to get 2 of them across the way.
Yeah.
So 4 plus 4 is
8.
And then I have to add a 1/4 inch and a 1/4 inch, so that's adding a 1/2 inch, so that's
8 and a
8 and a
half.
half on the diagonal. Now I could get out my geometry calculator and go a squared plus b squared equals c squared.
Thanks to Mr. Pythagoras.
But hail to the no, because I got a 45-degree ruler. If I take a ruler and I put it on my 45-degree line, and I go down 8 and a half inches, look what it does. It tells me, well, it's a little, can you see what I'm doing, Eddie? Yeah, I'm coming out, we just figured I needed a
8 and a half.
8 and a half this way to make my perfect triangle, right? Well, if I only come down, whoops, wait a minute, those are those 1/2 inch markers that always get me. Let me get to the ones. Okay, let's go here. If I come down 8 and a half, I'm a little bit more than the 7. I got this rule upside down again. Why do I always do that? Doesn't matter. It's a little bit more than the 7. And if you figure out the geometry, the whole thing, at 7.07 on the calculator.
Okay.
Well, I'm not cutting something at
0.07?
7.07. Right. So I easily could have used 7 and a half. It was more than fine.
And then you could just trim it down and
Yep.
stick to your fork.
Or that's the size they're going
Yeah, but
to be.
if you did oversize it a little bit, it gives you that.
It gives you
yeah.
the ability to trim it exactly
Yeah.
what you want. So
Okay.
that's how I know how big to make my square.
That is amazing.
Twice the size of your half square triangle plus 1/2 an inch.
Nice.
That's a lot easier than a squared
Yeah.
plus b squared plus c squared.
I don't know. A squared plus b squared plus c squared is way more fun.
Okay, well anyway.